Hey everybody, Anish Majumdar here, career coach and expert in the hidden job market. So happy to go through this rapid fire session with you, okay, on the 10 most common interview questions that the people I coach, job seekers, executives, leaders are facing all across the spectrum that they're struggling with. Some of these are very, very big picture questions that you, I'm sure, have been asked at some point in your career, if you're not currently dealing with it. I want to show you a way, okay, a methodology for addressing these types of interview questions, because honestly, it's a waste of time for a leader to make job searching their second job. And what I see happening is people get stuck on the artifice. They get stuck on the surface level answers to this stuff. Whereas if there was a slightly deeper understanding of what are you trying to accomplish here, you could actually get away with a lot more mistakes and still get the outcome that you want. Follow-ups, offers, right? That's the only reason we're interviewing is to identify, is this an offer worth having? What do I need to know, right? And how can I differentiate myself to get that fast track, right? If we're not doing that, there's no point in the interview. So let me lead you through these 10. Grab a notepad, grab a pen. I promise you this is going to be effective and it will help you no matter what you do in terms of that face-to-face. Okay. Goal of the interview, right? Before we get into the 10 biggest ones, what is the goal? Very simple. You are there to identify the 2 or 3 at least areas of information, pain that is going on that is really driving this higher that they don't want you to know. Assume a job posting is BS. Assume what a recruiter tells you is sanitized BS unless you're dealing with the 1 or 2 recruiters who actually are worth a darn, right? It's all, they can't advertise the real reasons. Right? They'll say that, hey, you know what? We need a marketing expert because we just want to take it to the next level. No. Okay? They have no marketing strategy. It fell apart after the pandemic. Okay? They're in panic mode because all the other parts of their business rely on it. Right? That's what's really going on. But they're not going to trust someone to do that job unless that person can get us to the truth, right? Because otherwise, what am I going to do? I'm going to negotiate an offer with you as the employer, knowing it's all on false backgrounds. How much resources do you think you're really going to get? How much buy-in do you think you're going to get from me? That's your job. In the first interview, it is to establish the level of trust and get the conversation going and moving it towards a place where you identify those 2 or 3 areas of deep, bleeding pain that they would rather you not know about, but you, in your capacity as someone who has to solve these problems, must know about. You also have a second job. So that's rule 231, or rule 23. Okay, that's the way I look at it. Identifying 2 or 3 areas of bleeding pain during that first interview. The other 2-3 is to differentiate yourself. Think about a date. Think about any meaningful relationship you had, professional, personal, otherwise. You didn't just go over there and tell this person everything that you wanted to, I hope, right? You didn't just say, oh, you're wonderful. Oh, you're kind. Oh, you're great. Oh, awesome. Let's get married. No, there's a spark. Right? Part of that spark is actually disagreement. Part of that spark is actually finding the new place that I get to when I'm with this person, right? So challenging is a great way to identify value. Disagreeing is a great way to identify value. Going deeper and having a kind of conversation that is outcomes driven instead of just sliding a resume over are all ways to identify, to differentiate yourself. So these are the 2 things, okay? When you go into that interview room, whatever you say, whatever you do, and how you answer these questions, okay, have got to basically be going towards those 2 things. If they're not helping you either identify those 2 or 3 areas of pain that they don't want you to know about, or they're not helping you differentiate yourself in a powerful, non-phony way, there's no point in you answering the question. Now let's get to the actual ones. Tell me, and before we get into this, guys, just for a second, if you aren't following me right now, take a positive action. Hop on over to LinkedIn. My name's Anish Majumdar, Anish. Hop on over, hit me a follow. I'm sharing career advice tips every single day based on real life experiences, real client experiences that actually work. I would really appreciate it. All right, question number 1. Tell me about yourself, right? Drives you crazy. Here's the way that you want to think about this. You don't want to give it your life story, okay? You want to basically communicate 3 big things, okay? This is what the galvanizing mission is that I identified as like a Luke Skywalker type person. That's one way to do it, okay? So here's the mission. Here's what me and my people are currently up to make that a reality. Here's why we're talking and here's why I'm particularly interested in this. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's the whole thing. That's not a 5-minute, 10-minute rambling is not helping you, okay? So that's all you've got to do. So you've got to think about an outcome, right? What is the big change that you make happen? I identified in my work in IT that most people are so tech, have their heads in the ground, they have no business knowledge. So how are they going to actually operate as a strategic partner to the business? I specialize in IT innovation through a strategic partnership lens. In other words, you don't have to translate with me. Our people, we plug ourselves right into people who have no tech background. We make that work, and we make technology actually work for you and over deliver, right? Right now, here's what we're up to. We're working with this company. We're in talks here. And what I'm specifically interested in talking to this company about, and you in particular, is this one thing. Right? Or this aspect that I picked up in my research, or this thing that I read about on Reddit, or this thing I picked up on Twitter, right? It could be anything, and it doesn't have to be super specific or anything like that, right? But you want to think of it in that structured way, okay? That is a very, very powerful way. But the pitfall here is rambling without any kind of a determined factor. That's you got to avoid that at all costs. Less is definitely more. Number 2. What do you know about our company? You've got to identify pain here, right? If the job is to go into it, you've got to make it clear and comfortable, right? That you're someone that you can share those types of details with. Here's a great thing you can do. Draw some parallels, okay? Here's what I found, right? In my journey in the internet sector, right? I've spoken with leaders. I've seen that companies that are doing X are here. Companies that are doing Y are here. And I can see that resonance, but what I don't see is why. And I don't know if this is true or not. This is one of the major reasons I wanted to explore working with you guys, right? But what I see from the outside is you guys are the only ones here who are moving it forward in this level of impact. Now, let me ask you, A, is that true? And B, because you've been here, you understand how the meat is made. What have been some problems that you guys have been running into, Because I've seen people struggling, with X, with talent retention, with culture issues, with that. What have you seen? Right? So I'm making it comfortable by saying, hey, look, our competitors are not big, unicorns up there, okay? They're all flesh and blood people like us. I'm speaking with them routinely, and these are problems that I see. That'll make it comfortable for you, right, to start bringing me in. And I'm making notes, I'm figuring this out. I've got a notepad every time I've got an interview, okay? I'm not here to perform for you. I'm here to understand and hopefully make collective headway. That's the vibe, right? So what do you want to know about your company? The pitfall, by the way, for this one, we have a lot to cover, so I apologize for the speed. Watch this more than once if you're struggling on the interview side. But what do you want to know about our company? The pitfall is to make it bloviating and phony and blah, blah, blah. You guys are great at this. No. Make it challenging. Make it about something unique about the change they're making that aligns with what the change that you've discovered that you and your people are making, okay? And so tell me about a time that you failed at something, right? This one drives us crazy, and rightfully so. The problem here is you don't want to get your dukes up, right? I've done this. I've blown interviews where I was like, oh man, what the hell are you talking about? Don't do this. Don't do that. Okay, learn from my mistakes. So tell me about a time that you failed at something. You want to think about a attempt made towards a outcome. The goal was right. The execution was wrong. The goal was worthy. You sacrificed to make that happen. I teach a career coaching program today. I'm okay with telling you that the way that started was a nightmarish process of about 7 or 8 weeks where I was creating this thing. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was able to miraculously help a couple of people. Not the way I would have liked. And I would say that I failed at what my objectives were, but the larger lessons behind that failure powered what we do today and gave me an ability and a way to see it through the lens of those people that I serve that I never would have gotten. That's a failure turned meaningful success that can now be leveraged. You got to think about something that didn't go the right way somewhere else that holds the potential of going the right way for these people right there, okay? What you don't want to do here is get stuck on the failure, right? You do not want to get stuck on this was bad, it stayed bad. You screwed up that question at that point, okay? What are your major strengths and weaknesses, right? You want to think about it all through the lens of impact, right? Not inert. You do not want to get caught in skills trading. This is not about you picking out things from your resume and saying, I'm good at culture change. I'm good at negotiation. No. You want to think about hard-won strengths. This is a good place to share what's called a core story, right? Share a challenge, action, result, type of frame story that allows you to talk about one strength. Don't get into talking 3, 4, 5. That's a Phil Donahue show here, okay? Pick one strength and pick one story from your life. It can be personal, by the way, that demonstrates that strength or demonstrates that character moment, right? That's much more powerful than focusing on many. What salary are you expecting? Do some research. Come in with a padded range, right? So if you see 175 to 200, pad that out. What are the major perks? Blah, blah, blah. Give yourself some room. But that should be the number that you hold in absolute reserve. The first answer for this should be, look, I'm not really sure where we are with this. Can we have a conversation based on what's actually going on here? I'm happy to volunteer information in terms of us getting to a point of clarity. And then I think we'll be able to do it from a place of greater knowledge. I don't know if I feel comfortable having preemptive ones because it can vary very widely, right? If they don't move that way, you can move into a range, right? What other types of jobs or companies are you considering, okay? The trap for here is like getting into a whole, pissing match. I want a director job versus a VP. Don't get into any job titles. You're not mentioning anything like that, okay? You're talking about impact. You're talking about challenge. You're talking about how it aligns with what you believe in, right? It doesn't have to be highly specific. They do not want examples, and do not give them examples of other companies and blah, blah, blah. That's not their right to know, okay? Think back to a situation in which there was a conflict you had to resolve. Tell me how you resolved that conflict, right? You want to, again, think challenge, action, result, right? What was going on there? What was the challenge? What was the thing that had to happen? What were the actions that you took? What was the result? Don't overstay your welcome, right? You can flip over difficult questions like this by starting the process of answering it, giving some details, and say, hey, does that resonate? Am I on the right track here? I'm sure you guys have had to fight your fair share of battles. Open it up. Flipping a question over is a fantastic way to finish an interview question. Why should I hire you? Go back to that emission, go back, and now I ideally by this point you've got some pain there, right? Align to that. This is pain that I want to solve. This is pain that I'm certainly at the very least interested in moving forward, assuming there's a shared degree of commitment there. Do not pitch yourself. Do not present yourself, okay? That's what answering questions in an outcomes-driven way is for, so you don't have to do that, right? How long do you plan to stay at our company? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Look, forget the 5 years thing for a second. You can say, look, no one has a 5-year plan that actually makes sense. Here's the core driving factor. Again, here's my core mission. Here's my core outcome. Here's what I've identified basically during our conversation. And what I see is a company transformed on growth, a company transformed in their talent, a company transformed in their mission, a company transformed in their values, a company transformed in their systems. And by the way, yes, I'm sure rising up with myself has always been there, but that's always been a byproduct, hasn't it? Make it all about the impact because the impact is irrefutable, okay? Do you have any questions for us? Now, if you've been taking this training, you know what I'm going to tell you on this, right? Do you have any questions for us? This is your opportunity to flip it. This is your ask one heavy-hitting question based on everything you have here that will get them open about what is actually going on. That will demonstrate your authority, your expertise better than reams and reams of pitching and presenting, okay? We're just getting into the surface. If you want to go deeper with me, follow me. Let's keep moving, guys. Let's move this thing together forward.